And he's like, man, and he goes, if there was going to be someone who was going to win it, it was going to be you. And then over me. And I've always seen it. He goes, you just haven't had enough time shooting. You do a lot of this footwork. You're the best mover. You're just not a very good shooter yet. And he goes, and this time around, you're actually putting the two together, which makes you hard to beat.
Welcome to the Firearms Nation podcast. I'm here again today with another interview. And, you know, I got to tell you, I'm blessed as a person because I've been able in my job to train with a lot of people. And then, of course, as a competitive shooter, I've been able to train with a lot of people as well. And sometimes those worlds intersect, but I'm very fortunate. And throughout that course, you pick and choose what was good, what's not good. And today's guest is very good. I've seen a lot of different trainers, and I've learned from a lot of people. Probably learned the most about especially handgun shooting and the mindset and mechanics behind that from today's guest, and that's world champion JJ Racaza. He's been a guest on the show before, and it's always knowledge bombs, which is great. And I'm just so fortunate that not only did I train with him, but he's a good friend. And we're going to talk about his association with a clothing company, and what's going on with his sponsor for firearms. But most importantly, I never had a chance to talk to him since he won the world championship. So let me bring on my friend and guest. Let me unmute him, JJ Racaza. JJ.
Hey, Eric.
Welcome to the show. Good to see you too, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, sure. And I'm thinking I'm going to change that up because a lot of people who are just listening to this, they don't know that I'm doing this interview remotely. But so, yeah, you finally, I should say, I mean, I don't want to go into your whole bio because I'm going to put that in the show notes, but you've been to the World Championship many times, and you came in second place. And I think this is your fourth one that you went to. Is it for IPSC? We're talking the International Practical Shooting Confederation. This is the World Shoot and Practical Shooting. And this is, now we're not talking juniors, we're talking as an adult.
No, this is my seventh or eighth one. I started in 1999.
Okay. Oh, no kidding. All right.
Yeah.
But did you make it to the top number two?
No. So, yeah, 99, I placed, I think, 21st or 19th or something like that. 2002, I placed, I think, top 5. And then 2005, I placed top 5 again, of top 4. And then 2008, I skipped. That was the time when I was heavy with the government stuff, and I was trying to essentially leave shooting behind and focus on that career. But then kind of reeled me back in 2011. It was the first time I got second. 14, second, 17, second, COVID, 21, and then 23, finally won it.
Okay. So, and it's 22, 23, right?
Yes.
It was the end of last
22,
year.
23. That's what I meant.
I know.
Yeah.
Everything's blurring into one thing. So, we talked, I congratulated you, obviously, but what was it like to finally win that competition, world champion?
It's still a little bit unreal. Like every time I get into these talks, I get a little goosebumps when I think about it, because I try to leave it behind. When I won it, it was awesome. I enjoyed it at the moment. It was a very surreal experience of being on the stage, watching everyone cheer for you, seeing all the emotions I was feeling. Especially, I was very controlled with that sense of my game leading up to that competition. So the emotion side of things, I was very under control until that moment. And so I let myself go a little bit and enjoyed it for a moment while I was there teaching and all this stuff and traveling home, quite a little bit throughout Christmas. But once this year started, it was kind of one of those, let's move on, be done with it kind of thing. And I kind of have it brushed up in the background. I don't have my trophy displayed anywhere in the house. I have maybe some reminders in my gym garage, but other than that, it's kind of what's the next thing. Now that you have that, what do you do next? And so I don't get to think about it as much. And then I get to some of these interviews And then they bring it up and it gives me the goosebumps because I get to reflect on it. Like, that's a hell of an achievement for a career. Because at one point in my career, I started thinking, first it was the nationals. Like, man, am I going to be one of those guys that's just going to constantly place top 3, top 2, and never actually bring a title home? And then I was able to break through that threshold and start winning a couple. And now I have several national titles. So I was like, okay, that's cool. It's like the world's got second. Am I going to be one of those guys that's going to retire at the end of my career and go, man, I was so close so many times, but just never got to do it? And so now that I got one, Eric kind of put on a challenge. It's like, well, you're not a real champion until you got 2. So I'm like, all right, I'll enjoy this one, but it is time to focus on the next one. So next one it is.
Now, I know you have a big association with Eric Raffel, and he's is probably the most winningest, if that's an actual word, or has won the most world championships. What did he say to you when you won?
He actually gave me the biggest hug. Obviously, we were still in Thailand, and he walks up to me and he's like, "Hey, dude." He goes, "We did it together," which is cool because he goes, "You and I have been at it for so damn long." He goes, "I was tired of you. I was tired of fighting you." And he goes, "It's you and I have become very, very close for so long. We're very good friends, and now that we represent 2 different companies," he goes, "it's cool that I won my division, you won yours." And he goes, "Eventually our story is going to come to, it's like a movie where eventually it's going to come full circle and we're going to go full at it again. Hopefully we're not too old." But he goes, "We did it, and I'm proud of you." And he goes, "You are the most deserving world champion." And he goes, "You need to start enjoying that." And he's like, what did he say again? He said something like, you need to be able to understand that mindset you've had for a very long time. It's almost like you just didn't believe it because it didn't happen until just now." And he goes, "I hope this brings it for you to believe in it. And I hope this will motivate you to push harder because it's not over, my friend." And I was like, he's so right.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt about getting this interview with you, because I know since we were talking about it months ago, it just kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And finally, we found a time slot where I could get you. I know you're a super busy guy, so I'm glad. But no, I know it's pale in comparison to winning the world championship after you've been at it for so long. But now, the friendship amongst the top there is going to have to go head to head, where it's going to be a battle between you and Eric.
There's going to be a battle between a lot of us, right? It's Eric and I have just done it, I guess, together in the world shoot level for so long. I mean, I think I saw him win 1999. I saw him win that, and I'm like, man, if a kid my age could win it, it's like, how am I in 19th place? Let me just push myself to push it through the next level. And 2002 saw him winning again, and I remember 2002 in South Africa, I had gotten DQ'd, and then reinstated, so my mind wasn't right. But at that time, I was top 3, and then it fell back to top 5 after that, and then 2005 is one of those things that is 0 to stage. It's like all these things that just kept happening, and I placed 4th, and then finally, 2008, I was like, you know what, I'm going to leave that game. I'm going to focus on my career on DHS, and then 2011 was able to push hard forward, and actually had a good training session. I remember him and I battling it out for 4 days, so the first 3 or 4 days, and on the 3rd or 4th day, I remember he puts his arms around me. I had a 40-point lead at that time, and no one's ever taken the lead on him for consecutive days. And he's like, man, and he goes, if there was going to be someone who was going to win it, it was going to be you, and then over me. And I've always seen it. He goes, you just haven't had enough time shooting. You do a lot of this footwork. You're the best mover. You're just not a very good shooter yet. And he goes, and this time around, you're actually putting the 2 together, which makes you hard to beat. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of nice, man, and whatever. And then, eventually I make enough of a mistake, like 1-2 stages back-to-back mistake, that he takes over. A couple of things happen, and then he ends up winning by, I think, like 15 points. So it's very tight between him and I. And I was like, all right, I figured something out. I think I can push through again for the next world shoot. I'm going to try to chase you again in 2014. And he's like, no longer in open. I'm going to go to production. I was like, well, screw open. I'll go to production. That was the start of me leaving the 2011 game and go to the open. So it's kind of just one of those things that him and I battled it out. And then we placed first and second again, although he handed a pretty good whooping in production 2014. So he won it. I got second, and then 2017 was the first time we kind of separated. We were teammates. We weren't going to compete against each other. He's shooting a different division, limited, and then I was put at that time by Tanfolio to go to open. And so I was like, all right, this is the first of it. And then there was a little bit more of opening in regards to my game. get to train with him for a week and then talk to him about another week, and literally spent almost a month with him in the Philippines. We just talked mindset and the way we train, and we started teaching together. And it was really cool, a really good insight to that world of what he sees and how he sees things, how he trains. It's changed a lot of my training as of recently, and I got to give it up to him. He was one of the bigger influences besides Rob Latham and a few other of my friends that allowed for my programming that works for me and my schedule to evolve what it is now, and it's allowed for me to be a little more successful than I've had in prior 2018, I would say.
I know it's early, but are you going to announce what you're going to compete in?
For 2000, the next World Shoot?
Yeah, well, it's like 2025, right?
So there's two things in the air. It's very early, right? I can't commit to one. Beretta has other ideas. Right now it is carry optics, and that is the goal. However, they're trying to develop and finalize this open race gun that if it starts to become, we're getting close to finalizing that. So if that starts to come to fruition, I may have to make that decision by next year or the late next year to be able to see if I can still qualify, because I'm going to shoot nationals, and I'm going to pick IPSC nationals this year, and the next year I'm going to have to decide which is going to be my second or third match that will count. So it's kind of one of those. And then there's also an option for production. They want me to represent the iron side of things. So there's three different options: iron sight, open, and carry optics. Carry optics is the favorite. Open is the possibility for second, and third is the production.
You're shooting carry optics now, correct?
Yes, mainly.
Does it bother you jumping back and forth between production, carry optics, open, because you got the dot, then you don't have the dot, then you have the dot, you don't have the dot?
It used to bother me. It used to make me think like, all right, I need to get some time on this. I don't have enough time on this, and it used to be kind of an excuse. I'm fortunate now that all of my guns are in the same platform, so the grip, I can manipulate it to a certain way. The trigger changes from my gun to gun. I have like 5 or 6 guns that I play with constantly. Dry fire, maybe only like 1 or 2 of them. So and then my match gun, I only have 2 match guns, and that's part of my 5 that I play with. So I don't have very many guns. But with that said, the open gun has a really good trigger. I somehow can't translate it to my carry optics gun. So what I did with my carry optics gun at World Shoot is that I used a fairly new one, and I left it stock. I didn't want to touch anything internally, and that was kind of by design, taking a chance on that. And if I could win that, I could say like I won with a stock gun felt factor without polishing anything in the inside. The second thing is my production. I've done some polishing because that was one of my early guns. That gun's got a lot of rounds through it, at least one of the production guns that I have. So I've gone in there, I've polished the sear, the trigger bar. I've played around with it quite a bit. So that's the only gun that I've really played with any other than any of my guns. Most of my guns are stock. So the triggers feel different. I'd love to be able to carry my production double action into my carry optics, and my single action into both my production and my carry optic, my single action, my open. But it is what it is. That's the only thing that really bothers me slightly. Other than that, the gun shoots well. It's just got to be me. I just got to train behind it. There's still a lot learning left.
So you told me right now that you shot the World Shoot with pretty much a stock gun.
Yes. I remember my dad was not very happy with that.
Did you start training with that gun months before, or it was like a last minute decision that I'm just going to go stock?
It was a last minute decision that I was going to go stock because of my performance in training. But I've had shot that gun. It was one of my 5 rotations. Does that make sense? Like I had a match gun that I had won the Carry Optics Nationals with the year before, where it was a little bit of a defensive top end and the performance 92X in the bottom. And then I left that as my match gun, and I carried that through. But as the years go by, like as they come up and send me the next gun for my backup, I start integrating that into my not local matches, but the carry match guns and stuff like that. And most of the guns from that they send me from factory, I usually leave as stock. I don't touch anything internally except for my production gun's the only one I've really got in there. But after shooting in a while, it feels really good, right? Like the trigger starts smoothing out itself. However, I didn't touch very much with the newer guns that came in. I think they came in June, and the world shoot. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, it came in June. I got the serial numbers, I believe, in like March. They said it's coming. It's crossing the water. But from Italy, once it gets to Italy, US, and then it gets to US, there's processing. It takes like months to get here, but I was able to get the serial numbers, and they said that the tolerance with this gun, with the newer batch, has gotten a lot tighter, that the barrel shift with the slide fit is no longer as loose as your original one. And I remember them saying that, and I said, well, I can't wait. I got one of the new production guns, and I shot the production gun, and I liked the accuracy portion of it. I knew that was going to be heavy for IPSC. So I said, okay, I'm gonna rely on the accuracy part of this, and then the reliability, it should be good. They fixed the extraction issues that I've had in the beginning, with just the small tweaks of putting a harder extraction springs on it and stuff like that. And then, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. My dad was not happy about it, trained with the gun, came in, shot it, and still decided. I had 4 guns on the list to bring in my importation paperwork. That was the 2 original ones, the match guns, and then the 2 backup, which is the brand new one. I ended up just bringing the brand new ones once I finally got to shoot with it and see and how I performed behind it, how it felt. And it made me feel better. Once I got over 2,000 or 1,000 rounds each on those guns, it made me feel really good that it's shooting well, it's shooting accurately, there's no jams. I'm like, okay, this is the gun. I have 4 guns that are very, very reliable right now. I haven't had issues on it. So I'm going to carry this through and see which one I perform well. And then blindly, I would just pick up a gun, shoot a 100-round drill, pick up another one, shoot a 100-round drill, pick up another one. And I can kind of feel a little bit of difference, but every time we went train, it was slightly different. And every single time, my dad was like, this was your best performance of this gun. Which gun is this? And I would check the serial number, check the round count, and check which gun it was. And I'm like, well, that's one of the new ones. Okay, that's my match gun. This is my backup. Screw it. This is going to be easy to figure out. My dad's like, I don't like it. You shoot really good with this one. If you've won with this one, this is proven. He goes, this got like 10,000 rounds. This gun's only got like 1,000, or at that time already about 3,000 rounds. I'm like, no, I'm going to go with this one. I like it. Let's continue this and see. And if I pick up the gun, see if I can continue the good performance. So that's how it was. He wasn't comfortable with bringing a new gun at all, but I said, you know what, let's try it. And he's like, bring the old one. I didn't even bring it. I brought 2 guns to the world shoot. That was it.
Right. I mean, you've been training really well and everything's going good. And so like, a couple months before, let's just throw it all to the wall and see what happens as we're going into the world shoot. I like that plan. That's very encouraging. No, I mean, look, it worked out. I think it says a lot about the gun, that it did well. It's always the archer. It's not the arrow. I know having a good arrow helps, but being a good shooter also helps. But you spoke of your dad, and you're saying he's disapproving. Your dad's been super important. I've met him before. He's super important in your life, and got you into the sport, and has been with you this whole time. What was it like for him to see you up on that podium winning the gold?
Here's a cool little thing. You know my dad. You know a little bit about him. You know that he doesn't say very much, and if it does say something to you, usually it means he kind of likes you in some way, one way or another. So anyway, as soon as I won, as soon as I fired my last shot on the world shooting stage, and we knew I had a pretty decent lead at that time. Going to the last day was very much of a headache. The way they scored it, I was 14 points behind, 6 points behind, and then the third day I was kind of tied, and then on the fifth and final day, going into it, I had a 40-point lead, and so because he had a Mike no shoot, Mark Kamichek, who shot with us for a very, very long time as well. So I knew he was very seasoned. So anyway, I shot my final shot, and I did well. And he was monitoring the scores, and he's like, all right, I think you've won over this guy. I just don't know over the other guy. But it's the top 2 right now is within, top 3 right now is within this squad. So I was like, congrats. I think this is final. I don't want to jinx it until it's final. I said, okay, sounds good. He shakes my hand. He goes, all right. He goes, this is your moment. Enjoy it. Go do whatever you need to do. He goes, I'll be in the van waiting. I was like, okay, can I get a hug? And he gives me a little smile. He's like, yeah. I said, I want a picture in front of the banner. So I took a picture, and then he had a little smile. And then once he walked away, I did my thing. I got there was WADA testing. We did a piss test. You know, when you place top three, I guess you get the testing just like French did, the French World Shoot. And then so yeah, we just hung out with Eric. We talked, and then that's when he pulled me aside and he's like, "Hey, let's make a call and send a video to Martin Armscore." And then Beretta had a celebration in their booth. It was very, very cool to see that just 3 years prior to that, 4 years prior to that, the Beretta team, the guys that recruited me, came to my shop and said, "Do you think you can win world championship with this?" I said, I don't think so. I said, "It's going to be a little bit of work." And then they sent me what I said, and then they said, "Hey man, we did it all together with a lot of work." I said, "Yeah, we did." And I was like, kudos to you guys for being very flexible for what I needed, and for being, allowing me to be able to be open to go, this I don't like, this I like. And they were like, "Nope, you're good. We trust you, and we love this relationship." So they cultivate it, and I'm all in.
You've been with several gun manufacturers. I know there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. When they approached you, I mean, what was it? I mean, obviously you might have an NDA that you can't discuss, but what was it that you really felt that you could do it with a Beretta?
It was the trigger. So to me, all I need really is, there's three things I guess four. Reliability, one. The trigger, if I can very much emulate the trigger of a 2011, that's what I came from, and that's what I would say an expert on from 1911s. I grew up with that. I say for the trigger is close to a 1911 or 2011, that would work for me. And then the accuracy. So if all those three things, I can make myself good with the gun as long as all those three things are kind of together. The fourth one is how it feels in my hand. The Beretta didn't feel right away in my hand. Like, it just felt a little tight, a little short, all this stuff. But they were and I think there was another gun company, I don't want to be too specific, but there was another gun company that I was about to shoot for and sign with, and that gun felt really good. It's already been proven, and all this stuff, right? But then they just couldn't get me the gun. My contingency was I need 1,000 rounds behind the gun that I wanted. They wanted me to compete in, and this time they wanted me to compete in an open division. They just couldn't get me the gun, and I didn't really force it. I'm kind of, me, I forget, I'm spastic, so I was kind of like, nothing too serious, until I got a call from Beretta one day, 3-4 months later after SHOT Show, and was like, "Hey, are you signed? Or are you still available for sponsorship?" I was like, "I didn't even know you guys were into it." And so yada yada, back and forth, and it's like, "Well, what does it take for you to be interested and look into our program and see if we can sign you?" I said, I'd need at least 1,000 rounds behind any platform you guys want me to shoot. And so that said, "Send me the gun." And they said, "We can't send it to you because we don't have ATF approval at that point. We can fly it to Italy." I was like, "Well, I don't mind. Who doesn't want to take a flight to Italy?" I was like, "Oh, this doesn't," I told him, "this is not a guarantee. Gun doesn't guarantee me signing, but I have to shoot with the gun." And while I was there, they had 3 guys loading mags for me. They had one of the master engineers, the designer of the gun. They had a few other guys there within the Beretta team, and they gave me a plethora of targets, steel walls, and it was already set up. And I just shot. I think my first 1,000, I shot 1,500 or so in 20 minutes or so. And then I shot another, I think it was almost 2,000 rounds in another 30 minutes between an open and a production gun. And then the more I shot it, the more I started to like it. But I was sold around 300, 400 rounds. And I remember Nico comes up and he's like, "JJ, he goes, we have the range for another 3 hours or 2 hours, but you've been here for an hour, shot about 3,000 rounds. You said you need 1,000. You haven't said anything. Is there anything that you can say to us about the gun?" I said, "Oh, I like the gun. I've liked it since about 300 or 400 rounds. He goes, "Oh, okay. You just haven't said anything." I said, "Yeah, I never had people load for me, so I might as well take advantage and train right now while it's there for me, free ammo and all that stuff." So they said, "Okay, so we'll send a contract." And then I ended up with them, and that was basically the thing. I told them, "We need to work on this open gun, production gun. What can I do with this?" And they said, "You can't do anything with the frame. You can make suggestions on the open gun." So I was like, "All right, I'm gonna attack that." And literally right there and then, when we got back to the factory, I said, "Can you do this? Change this angle, bring this over here." And the engineer was coding it and printing 3D designs and throwing plastic parts into this gun. And then we'd go test it, and I'm like, "Yep." And then he would print a metal the metal piece, install it. I'm like, yep, that's it. It was amazing. I've never had anything like it. It was the most interactive, fun little thing, like designing your own car as it's happening in front of you. But this time I got to design a gun basically. And so hence the new open gun. That's what it started for me. And then it was supposed to be open, just couldn't get ready enough. And then they released the carry optics as that became the more popular division. So they focused on their efforts on that, released that. And then, so that's when I had to switch divisions and go, you know what, carry optics it is, my open gun just isn't ready yet.
Most people in their lifetime will never, ever get that kind of opportunity. And I'm just, listening to the story and I'm thinking, it's got to be a lot of pressure. They flew you to Italy. They're putting you up in a hotel. They're feeding you. You're there on the range. You got guys loading magazines for you. The executives are there. What are you shooting a plate rack? I don't know what kind of program you're probably putting together. But at some point, you're like, what do I say to these people? What if I don't like their gun? That's got to be a huge amount of pressure.
So I'm so immature sometimes that I don't think about those things. I'm like, and you know me, you've known me for a long time now, that I live life by like the hour, if not by the minute. So I'm like, this is where I'm at. This is here and now. And I don't plan far ahead. So I remember I was like, I'm just going to Italy. I'm going to go hang out over there and eat some Italian food. And I was like, I'm finally going there, not on a mission, not on anything, but almost like a leisurely trip. And then whether I say good or bad, it doesn't matter to these guys. It's not going to hurt their feelings. They just want me. I was like, I think I can help them maybe make a better gun. And if I don't like it, no harm, no foul. I'll come back home. No one knows about it. It was a secret trip, except for my wife that knew about it, my parents, I think. And I was like, and I get to shoot a gun. I was like, that was it. So I didn't think about talking to them that I didn't like the gun at all. I was just like, I'm just there to be as honest as I possibly could and as candid as I could to them. So shooting in front of them, as soon as I saw a plethora of a target, it felt home. Like I was just in a range and I'll go, all right, I'll get to test new gun. What do you test first? So I was like, I'm going to test the accuracy. So I worked in 10 yard, just feeling the trigger, double action, single action. And then I said, okay, got that. It's like, what do I want to test next? I want to run the gun fast and hard. So like a bunch of close targets. By the time I did those two, it probably took about 100 rounds. I felt comfortable. I knew right away. I'm like, all right, I turn around. There's ammo for me to just grab a mag, or they're handing me mags. I'm like, okay, I don't need to worry about picking up. I'm just going to start shooting. And then I just shot until the gun melted. And they literally said, hey, man, can you switch guns? Because that gun's really hot and starting to change colors. I said, yeah, no problem. So yeah, that was an awesome experience. And then luckily for me, it worked out. And it worked out really, really well. Knock on wood. I haven't really said this, but this has been in the back of my head for a very long time. Like knock on wood, ever since with Beretta, I think in all the nationals I've shot with them in any division, I think the worst I've done, besides the one that I got kicked out because of my safety was too wide. It was a millimeter too wide. I think second is my lowest at national, which is a pretty good record shooting behind Beretta. So the pistol does well in every division, production, carry optics, and open. And that's an open gun. That's a very much of a prototype where there's, it's not a final product yet. There's some issues that we're dealing with, some lockup things and maybe blowing up the comp and all these things. But other than that, when the gun is running, it is running. And it's just a lot of it comes down to is I got to do my job and train behind the gun and get familiar and comfortable, no matter whatever the nuances, the things that make the gun tick or not. So I just got to learn it. And that's my job, and it's just to shoot as much as I can.
So the open gun is it gonna be called the JJ Racaza or designed by JJ Racaza?
Well, I don't know where that's going yet, but I know there's been talks of them trying to make a line for me, which is a very nice thing. I've only been with the company for 3 years, so it feels very, I guess, too much of an honor to even feel that or deserve that for only being 3 years in the company, and them having the talks of possibly bringing a gun for me with my name on it or some sort. I just don't know when that's going to happen. I don't know if that's going to be the open gun they meant or if it's going to be the next version of performance line or whatever. I don't know yet. There's not much detail, but there's been talks and mentions and murmurs about it. They've asked me like, what color would you like it if it was your gun? Would you like this color? Would you what would you change? And there's been stuff like that. So pretty neat. I'm holding my expectations low. It's kind of one of those things that happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Right? It's kind of one of those things. But to me, already, I think you need to win like another world championship in order for that to happen. But nonetheless, if it does happen, man, that would be super cool.
So you're running carry optics, just because people are always interested in this sort of thing. It's a metal gun. What optic are you running on it? Because it doesn't come with an optic. What optic do you run on it?
So I'm running the RTS2 version 5. It's the 6 MOA. 6 MOA has been something I've shot since I was, I guess, a kid, since I started shooting behind a red dot. So it's always been 6 MOA. And Seymour's been something I've been shooting for since the early 2000s.
And that would be the same one you would run on your open gun?
Yes, it is. It is actually what I've been running with in the open gun right now.
Okay, and again, for the people who like to nerd out on this stuff, what ammo? I know you're sponsored by Arms Corps, but what weight of ammo?
That was another thing. I shot factory ammo at World Shoot. Arms Corps factory ammo. I didn't even load my own ammo. It was really weird. Like my own preloaded ammo. Arms Corps sent me the brass, but for some reason I didn't have the accuracy that I had. But the factory ammo that they just sent me for my training, it wasn't even hollow point. It was full metal jacket, round nose, 124 that you could buy off the lot. Hot as hell. It was 137, 139 was my power factor. It's 140 sometimes here in the US. It was one of those things. I just shot factory and it locked in my accuracy, which is really nuts how that all kind of came together. I shot factory ammo, factory gun, and then I had one of my best performances. So yeah, sorry, I got distracted there. So yeah, ammo usually competition. We're using preloaded ammo, shooters global shooters powder, shooters world powder, the clean shot, and then we're putting Arms Corps projectile, Arms Corps brass, and then we source primers wherever we could source them during COVID. So we have some primers now, I believe some CCI, mostly CCI right now is what we got. So yeah, we have our own preloaded ammo that shoots about 132 power factor.
Okay, and but what grain was it?
124.
124. Okay, and you like that better than like a 147 or 150?
Yeah, and I believe it's because I'm a former open shooter, so I like the quick snap and the return on the dot, or with the gun back to what I call the zero position, and then the 147 leaves it hanging for me, and I feel like I got to work the gun a little bit more. Although it feels softer, and essentially I will tend to anticipate the shots less because it feels softer. I feel like my performance is way better, especially at distance target with 124. The gun settles better for me. I'm just used to the jarring effect. The dot doesn't bother me how much it lifts, how hard it lifts. It returns just as good for me.
So you're breaking and shattering a bunch of myths here that you've got to have like the finest, NASCAR tuned gun in order to, make it to any type of championship, world shoot, whatever. And you're shooting stock ammo in a stock gun. That's great for the company. That says a lot about both of them.
Yeah, I it's crazy. I forgot to tell them that when I went over there. Even my dad, it's crazy. I told my dad was like, I'm just remembering all these because it's been like 6 months, 7 months ago, whatever. And even my dad was like, "Are you sure you're gonna bring this like low stock ammo?" And I'm like, yes. I was like, "This is gonna be it." And then the decision making was, I shot all my practice ammo leading up to the world shoot, and the day before, 2 days before, here's another thing. You see this? I don't know if you can see this.
Yes.
Can you see that clearly? That big scar?
It's clear. Yep.
Right? So that happened about 3 days before the world shoot as well. You can see it right there, the big scar right there. So 3 days before the world shoot, I sliced my hand pretty badly. And so there was a lot of things that happened leading up to the world shoot. And I remember 2 days before, I said, I'm going to shoot my match ammo that I've been shooting here with. And I had my worst practice session. And I remember my thinking, I was like, I think it's my hand. I have to readjust, not my grip necessarily, because I can't grip my gun hard. I'm going to fine tune my trigger a little better. So I did some trigger work on the second day before I left for the Thailand. When I started working my trigger, it was good, but it was better. And it wasn't as clean of a training session still. But then I had some practice ammo in my bag, and I ran a drill with it. Even though it felt harder in recoil, my shooting was really good. So I checked the accuracy on both, and accuracy on my factory for some reason was really tight, but my all loaded custom ammo was not. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back to this factory ammo and let me see how much I have at home. So as I'm loading and packing up my stuff and loading my ammo, and I'm going, I literally said, I'm going to grab this factory ammo. It's like, I don't want to shoot factory. I didn't test these. These are so, like, even the brass isn't polished. Like, all my brass in my factory for my custom load are really nice and polished, and I can feel the depth of the primer. These are just, like, mass made, right? So I don't know. So I'm wiping it, silicone, each and every single one. And that's like, F it. I'm going to decide I'm going to bring this many rounds. So I only had about 550 rounds left of that factory ammo. So I brought that with me, and then I carried 300 rounds of my custom load ammo, right? So I shot the match all the way through with my factory rounds. I was able to last, and then I remember my last magazine on the last page, last two magazines had those custom loaded ammo just in case, right? If I run out, but I didn't need it. Like, I only needed 2 reloads or 1 reload, and then I just had that in the back of my pocket just in case I run out of rounds. Like, that's how tight it was for me. And then in chrono, they chronoed both ammo. Both ammos were good, but they made sure to chrono both because I declared both ammo. And then at the shoot-offs, this is the crazy thing. At shoot-offs, all I had left was my custom ammo. So I'm like, okay, I'll shoot the shoot-offs, all good. First round, I won it. Second round, I had a squib.
Oh, no.
On my last shot of the popper, I'm winning, reload, I hit the stop blade, bing, and I went to fire another one. I fired the first one, and something blew up. And I'm like, oh. And I went to go pull the trigger again. I said, nope, that doesn't feel right. And I'm like, something hit me in my face, my gun broke. And I remember looking at it, and then, the guy drives his popper down, unload, and I open it up, and I see an empty casing that came out. And I'm like, I think my gun has a squib in it. And then sure enough, they took it out. There was a squib in it. So I can only imagine that was my match ammo for World Shoot. If I used that for the World Shoot, it could have been any of the big stages. It could have been 120 point. I only won by 90 something points. So any field course, I would have lost the championship right there. It was just meant to be. I always say I'm lucky in everything that I did in my career. That was one of those things that just happened to be luck again. I made the right decision bringing my factory ammo.
No, it's funny because you think you're like, I'm going to the World Shoot. I'm going to Thailand. That's thousands of miles away. I'm just going to bring enough ammo to finish the match. Instead of I'm going to send 5 cases of ammo just in case I need it. It's there. I don't have to worry about it. No, I'm going to go shoot a stock gun, take some ammo. I have no idea, but you know what? I was talking with Elias Frangoulis.
Yeah.
And he won a World Shoot previously, not even having ammo. He had to borrow ammo from people that he had never shot with before, and he still won. So, yep. I mean, obviously, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. The good shooters, the cream rises to the top. So, I mean, but they're all good shooters at that point. If you're at the World Shoot, they're all good shooters.
Yes.
So that's why, you think that NASCAR mentality, you're not going to get beat by the car, you're going to get beat by the driver. So, yeah. Very cool. Just real quick, and then we can move a little bit on past the World Shoot. But, I talked to Eric about his lead up to working and training for the World Shoot. I don't know if you've heard his, or I'm sure you've talked to it with him, but yes. How did, because I've trained with you and I see how you do things, but how's your training different leading up to a World Shoot than, say, a regular match?
I didn't get up at 2 a.m. to prepare for the match. I didn't have a range available at 2 a.m. when my time slot at Thailand, I couldn't emulate that far. So, but mine was, I had some scheduled stuff, but I had, I think, a 2 week or a week and a half of free time that I can shoot at the range. But in the range, I can only book the range for about 2 to 3 hours at a time. So I would have about an hour and a half to shoot. So it was very condensed training. So I would try to shoot every day leading up to it. And so it was, I would leave my house at 9, arrive at the range at 10, set up, 10:20, start shooting till about 11:30, 12, leave and go home. And that was my routine during that time. And so it wasn't as intense, but it was enough for me to get consistency behind the gun.
About how many rounds do you think you shot leading up?
Leading up to the road shoot, and that week and a half alone, I have my notes over there. I think it was somewhere around 8 to 10,000 rounds.
Okay.
Between 8 to 10,000 rounds divvied up. Yeah, I was able to, I remember thinking, my dad was like, that was a heavy month. You were able to shoot literally 1/3 of your year's allotment of, I mean, not allotment, but year's ammo count in a week and a half of times, because I think that's really good for your system. I said, I think so too. I feel really good. So we went there with feeling pretty good, except for some of the challenges like this. I had it heavily taped up. I was on antibiotics. It was getting infected. It would rip every day. If I did a reload, it would start to bleed. So small challenges like that. Readjusted my grip, but it allowed me to enhance my trigger and fine tune my trigger a little better. So I think that was more important for the world shoot. There wasn't much hoser type shooting there.
Are you still wall before sights?
Yes. Training that as best as I can. There are certain things that I actually have to change, because I did something recently that changed my trigger pull completely, and I'm relearning everything that I teach people, because I thought I was good enough for this. And then I remember Eric yelling at me because I did a change. I had 3 days of training just before Dragon's Cup, and I was doing something, and I remember just getting to 25-yard popper, and I would try to prep it, but then I let one go, and it hit it dead center, and I go, okay, let me see if I can do it again. So Dad, let me stop this real quick. Let me just look at that popper and pull it straight through from the float. You know how I had 3 stages of trigger, float, prep, and bang. From the float, yank it, boom, hits it. I'm like, let me shoot that zebra at 25 yards. Boom, boom, no prep. Boom, 2.5. I go, I said, all right, let's run hard. Let's shoot 1,000 rounds today. I was like, for the next 30 minutes, all I'm going to do is shoot a fast target and a bunch of hard targets, and I'm just not going to prep it once. I did that for the next 2-3 days, and it was good and bad. Like, it would work, and it was much faster because I didn't have to stop and prep. I would roll through the prep or yank right through it. My times were getting faster. Even though we were measuring time, I could just feel myself, like, not even caring about the sights as much, just seeing where it is and just cranking right through and seeing where it needed to be. And it hits. And sometimes, like, I would have problems with some steals. The realization that it was a bad idea was on my first stage and second stage at Dragon's Cup. All of a sudden, timing completely was off. With pressure, I would see my sights shift as I'm pulling the trigger, and I never saw that before. I haven't seen that in a very long time. Like, I saw that in 2011. I remember I had to fix that, but this time around, it was doing this, and then I would hit it. I would hit one popper, and then the next popper I would miss it. So I didn't even know. And then I would shoot multiple rounds on the same popper, sights in the center. As I'd break the shot, it would do this. And it would do this. And I'm like, I don't even know how to compensate for that. How do you fix this? Do I put the dot to the right? Do I put the dot to the left? So now I'm looking at beyond the target to see where I'm missing, left or right. And I didn't even know. It didn't make sense. One I'd miss right, one I'd miss left. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. So I kept just like, all right, prep the trigger. This is not working. On the third and fourth stage, I don't care. I'm going to sacrifice the stage. I'm just going to feel the prep. And all of a sudden, I couldn't prep. Like, I would try to prep it and it would go off. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm afraid of that prep. And I would try to prep it and I would pin the trigger to the rear. And I'm like, this is all times I've effed up. Something's going on. I can't fix it. And the whole day, first day of Dragon's Cup, I couldn't figure it out. And then had to dry fire all night and then shoot a few rounds, just zeroing the gun, learning how to feel it prep the next day. And I was able to kind of get it back on the second day. But then it's been a hard battle. It's been a hard battle of trying to get it back since, because I left for like 3 or 4 weeks after Dragon Cup, came back 4 weeks, and then I finally get to train again, and it was still there. It was still a struggle. So trying to regain that trigger. So yeah, when you say wall before the sights, that's become my main priority as of late. Like, that's the only thing I've been working on, is fine tuning my trigger. I don't even care about speed for now. I'm like, you know what? If I'm slow, I'm okay. I need to be good with this, because this is what's causing me a whole lot of grief.
That's interesting, because I thought you were going to go the other way, saying that you've worked through it and now you've given all that up, but you're still with what you've been teaching. Yeah.
I told Eric what I did, because he was like, what happened? We always talk, right? And he's like, dude, you do that off season. You don't do that mid season and make a big change like that. I'm like, I thought I can just grip the gun and pull trigger. It was working in practice. He goes, how good? I was like, I don't know, like, he was giving me a percentage. I'm like, 70-ish. It's like, that's not good. I'm like, oh, what? So he was not happy about it. My dad was not happy. Leading up to the training, he was not happy. Now he's like, okay, good. Well, you're kind of getting it back. He goes, I like the way you're shooting. He goes, it's still not quite where it was, but it's a lot closer than where you were.
So, all right, I just want to, because I know we're running short on time. I'm wearing your shirt. This is JJ's shirt that he's designed for Howitzer Clothing. You're welcome. I see you've got your logos on your shirt. What is your association with Howitzer? What is Howitzer Clothing?
Howitzer Clothing is what they've done is they've created a product line and where they can sell and make some money, and then they've linked themselves to a foundation, which is for warriors, in order for them to start this thing called Project Blue Lion. Project Blue Lion was a way for them to give back to the community in the firearms industry, and they wanted to focus more on the law enforcement. They looked around and said the military is getting a lot of support. He goes, we don't want to obviously shut them down, but he goes, we'd love to put more effort onto the law enforcement side. So they asked me as one of the guys, they're like, hey, we'd love for you to be a trainer. How often are you training the police officers? They said, any police officer that you go out there and train, let us pay for it. 100%. They don't have to pay for any of it. And then that's how it started out. And then it's blossomed from there, where now agencies will call me and they said, let's grab JJ for 3 days. We need him to teach the NARC guys in the beginning, CST guys, SWAT guys at the end, or all 3 days, SWAT guys, whatever it is. And it's been an amazing integration to my life, because I feel like I'm giving back to the community that kind of is impactful to the immediate community, right? Like the people the places that we live in and stuff like that. So it was kind of nice to see that they get the higher level training per se, without limitations of any lesson plans or whatsoever, to be able to do that for them. And then they get exposed to that, and then they get to integrate it to their training plan or lesson plan or whatever it may be. So it's been good. The first year we did it was about $600,000 that he was able to come up and through his donations. And the next year was about $900,000. The third year was about 1.2, and this year we've broken over 2 million, I think, in regards to donation. And me alone, I think I'm probably going to hit over 1,000 law enforcement officers out there all across the United States within the last 2 years of working with them, 2.5 years working with them. It's pretty freaking awesome. Really, really awesome. So that's why, like, the shirts, like, that's all them. Like, that's just part of their way. I've heard rumors of him literally saying, hey, how much more we need? Because this agency just contacted late. JJ, do you have the schedule? Hey man, yeah, if you can make this bid, I'll just write a check out of my own pocket and make this happen for them. And I'm like, that's freaking amazing. It's really, really cool. Like, so Howitzer's in it for the long run. I've seen this program before with West DOS and kind of one of those, and a bunch of companies came together. This is like one single company that sells a lot of clothes, and a foundation company that kind of came together, and they, through donations and through advertisements, they have been able to give back year after year after year, and it seems to be growing. It is a fantastic program. The owner's really dedicated, and he's in it. He's an A class now. He's my student. Pretty cool to see him competing. He's not a competition shooter at all, but he fell in love with it. So he likes the game. He's in it. He knows the game. He knows you'll see him at a SHOT Show and walking around. He'll be at his booth. It's really awesome. And they do good clothing. Like the next clothing I have, like this one right here, it's like a workout piece of clothing. Like it's anti-sweat, not anti-sweat, anti-stink, anti-mold, anti-wrinkle. It's stretchy. I don't know. It's just pretty cool. Good to be associated with a good company.
So that's going to be on the Howitzer website?
Yes.
I know this
yes.
shirt is.
Not yet. This one we're still finalizing. Like that's why I'm wearing it, to test it and see the durability of it. I work out. I roll with it. My hat, I've been wearing on it every day without washing it at all. Without washing it. But I want to test it, see if it's got any salt lines or anything like that. I want to see, and it hasn't yet. So it's been about a week. I sweated. I've trained with it in workout or at the range, and fully sweated on it, and it has no salt lines on it whatsoever. So I'm pretty impressed with it, the fabric that they picked, which is really nice. Sorry to smell, but I'm going to wash it soon.
Good. I'm sure your wife will appreciate that too. They just signed, I follow them, they just signed Max Michel as another one of their trainers, which is fantastic. Another great guy, another nice guy. I should be talking to him soon, so I'll look forward to hearing his input and what he's going to be doing with them. But yeah, no, I think it's a great program. People, if, I'm going to link it down below to their website. The money that you buy for this shirt goes towards helping law enforcement get trained, which everybody wants. I mean, when we see things don't go the way they're supposed to go on the news or on social media, and people come down on law enforcement, a lot of times it falls back to training. When it goes right, it usually falls back to training as well. So that's, support, because a lot of these places don't have the ability, the time, the money to have great training. Sometimes especially in places they don't have manpower to do it. So it's great to bring in someone like JJ, and I've heard of places that you've gone to, and very jealous. But with that, you got the howitzer, you got Beretta. Is there anything else coming down the road? You're just going to finish up this year. You're going to nationals, obviously. What you're shooting, Carry Optics Nationals?
So I'm shooting quite a bit this year. I didn't mean quite a bit, meaning nationals. I'm shooting a lot of nationals. I'm not shooting a lot of major matches this year because it's kind of like a non-bearing year. I just got to do well at nationals. Next year, a little bit more, and then World Shoot year, obviously, we'll wrap up in regards to matches. So I'll dial back on my matches this year. But yeah, Carry Optics Nationals is next. No matches in between from Dragons Cup to Nationals. Just the time just didn't work out. And then I'm shooting Production Nationals, Carry Optics Nationals. I think it's IDPA Worlds, and then I'm shooting IPSC Nationals as well. So I'm shooting all those things, and I'm hoping to do well this year. I've had a couple of close calls last year. I'd like to tie up some of those and see, but man, it's cool to see. It was really weird because I happened to be at North Carolina training over there teaching, and Area 6 was happening. So one of my students was like, hey, let's go over there. And are you going to shoot it? I said, I'm not going to shoot it, but I'm just going to hang out because I'm not going to shoot half the match and do whatever. But I got to see everyone that was shooting in a different perspective. Instead of me competing, I was able to observe and watching videos and all these things. And it was really cool to see how much and how far the shooting evolution in regards to skill set have gone in just a year. Watching Jacob, Niels, Max, and all these guys come up there and out there representing Sal Luna, crushing it with production. It's amazing to see how much they've gone and evolved. So I'm like, all right, that kind of motivated me so much that I'm like, I got to step up. I'm getting old, so I'm pushing on all cylinders. I'm doing my workouts harder. I'm giving up. I'm laying low in my jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai at this point because I don't want my fingers getting hurt. But stepping up my training a lot, dry firing a lot more now, and just making sure that I'm also leveling up with those guys, because if you don't train or push yourself hard, these guys are pushing themselves hard every day. You can see the results on paper. At nationals, that's where that's where you'll see the results there at nationals, whether you've done your job or not, mentally ready or not, but physically you should be there and to compete, hopefully in the top 3 and fight for the win the last day or something like that.
And of course, you're still teaching your classes.
Yes, that's what I was gone for about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, right from Magnus. I'm in Dragons Cup, just teaching all over the place. I was teaching military, I was teaching law enforcement, several law enforcement actually back to back, and then working with some cool groups like insurance companies like CCW Safe and stuff like that. I got to train their guys and some police officers and all that stuff. So yeah. And
you've finally updated your website, or I should say maybe Jessica updated your website.
They did.
It's like a real website now.
They did. So they finally finalized the website itself where you can sign up on classes and stuff like that there, which is really cool because she posted a bunch of classes for the year. It's like, all right, these are the classes that I haven't set up yet. There's nobody signed up for these 6 classes. Let me just post it up there. And she's like, posted it Friday night. By Sunday, there was only 1 spot left. And by Monday, there was a wait list. It was really cool to see. I'm like, what, all classes? She's like, on all classes. And I'm like, good Lord, that's awesome. She goes, I haven't even released that on any of my Instagram. She goes, that's just in our initial emailing list and stuff like that. So that's so nice to hear, to see that, right? So it's kind of one of those things. So the website has made it easier for my wife, a little bit easier, that all the information is there instead of her sending out tons and tons of emails. And we've hired someone else also to help us juggle with the email because she's getting bombarded with emails after email. So if you get an email from another person, that's in conjunction with Jess and our new person that we've hired. She's been an awesome addition, especially with like travel. She's like a former travel agent and all that stuff. So she's locked on.
Perfect. So before I let you go, I just know someone had a question for you. Nick W. from possibly Poland, because he's saying, JJ, will you ever come over to Poland in Europe to make training here for them?
So I've been asked to go to Poland and Sweden, I think, and Poland was supposed to happen this year, but my schedule got blown up right after January. I think I had over 120 requests for classes, and that didn't include any international, and Jess couldn't figure out how to say yes or no, or who to say yes or no to. And so some of them she's been saying no for the last 3 years, but she's like, all right, I got to say yes to this guy and these hosts and stuff like that. So, and it's unreal. So we had to eliminate some of the international ones because the domestic side right now it's knock on wood, a really crazy schedule enough. And for international, for me, that's just more time away without being able to get back with the family, right? So we just had this conversation last night that I wanted to shoot a local match tomorrow on Saturday in Volusia. And I was like, I want to test what I've been training on in Volusia. And my wife's like, we have something scheduled for the family doing this and this. And I was like, yeah, let's do that instead. And she's like, she goes, okay. She goes, you don't mind? I'm like, no. And she was like, she goes, why'd you ask? I said, it's up to you whether you say yes or no. I don't really care. And she's like, well, you should dictate that on yourself. Like, you should be able to go, no, you don't want to, or yes. I'm like, I always want to shoot. And I always want to spend it with you guys. So I was like, you'd make that decision. She goes, you don't care? I said, really, I don't care. Whatever it is, I'm good. Life is good. I'll make deal with it. If I don't shoot a local match at all before nationals, so what? I'll be ready. If I do, I'll be ready. It doesn't matter. So my mindset's totally different nowadays. Very happy with the place I'm in, the support, the team that I have. Everyone seems to be very happy. My wife, my family, the place, Florida, it's been an amazing place to live. It's just really good. It's a good mind space, mental mindset to be in, right? So it's like nothing bothers me much. A lot of people talk trash, but with a certain following, there's always people that talk trash, and he's just like, all right, that's cool. If everyone liked me, it'd be scary, I guess.
Yes. We have another comment here from someone who doesn't like you, Christian Sailor. He says,
he likes me.
He missed the live stuff. He almost missed it. He's getting the end of it right now. But you're one of his favorite competitors. Another great guy in the shooting sports.
You know what's crazy? I was going to bring him up earlier. Christian Sailor, that jackass. When I saw him on 2018 and he placed third at that nationals, and I remember he sent me a video, a bunch of I think he sent me a video or saw a video of him. And I'm like, this jackass moves like me, where I never could say someone moves like me. And I think like with his own style and spin off, right? And he shoots scary like Max. Like Max can run the gun hard, but then he's accurate like Eric. And I'm like, this is like the freaking hybrid of shooters. So it's like, I don't know how this is going to look like. And sure enough, 2019, 20, 21, I think I think I came in second in all three of those years to this jackass. Without Christian, I'd be 4-time national open champion right now. But because he's there, I got second. No one will ever remember second, but everyone remembers Christian going, I think, 3 for 3 on it. And last year was the first bad year he had. He finally gave us the bad year. And that was painful for me because I had to lead all the way to the last stage and losing it to Aaron Eddins by 0.5 points. And then Christian was just right behind. He's always there, which is super cool because he's a very intense competitor. So it's kind of nice to see all these young guys, but with a lot of maturity. Like Aaron Eddins, a really good guy. Christian and I have obviously built and developed this relationship now that we're open to talk to each other. And if there's anyone that says anything bad on the internet, he's immediately the first thing I say. I'm like, hey dude, this is what I heard, and we talk it out, and then it's been an awesome thing. So we've had a really fun time within the last years. That's why after the world shoot, he was one of the guys I hung out with in the back, and we just chatted and laughed our asses off.
Yes, great guy. So I'm going to wrap it up here because I know you got things to do. But everybody who came on, including another world champion, thank you for listening to this show and hanging out with Firearms Nation and world champion JJ Racaza. I'll link everything down below. And thank you very much, JJ, for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me on here. Thank you so much for being flexible as well.
Take care.